I did remember it is not a good morning, but a good afternoon. And it's really very, very exciting to see those of you who are here today in person. I'm very excited about it. Thank you for making the service this morning. We will start with a very brief meditation. Please join in Kansho. There is no place the moon does not shine, but it only illuminates in the hearts of those who gaze at it. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Please all rise for the opening gatha, Namo Amida Butsu, on page 174 in the Purple Book.
When fortune's
Three Treasures on page 8. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we submerge in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, become units of true accord in the life of harmony, in the spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Today is the service honoring all of the June Sochiki-Hoyo honorees. And I will read the following honorees for the month of June. And in doing so, any of those families and friends who wish to observe the Sochiki-Hoyo, please come forward and oshoko during my reading of the names. And also, our incense will be found in those little cups, which we are inviting everyone to use and dispose of the cups. So the June honorees are Toshio Fujihara, Masuyo Kunimoto, Ichi Matsuda, Kimiko Matsumoto, Akinobu Miyashita, Yokozaemon Yokoyama, Tohei Okazaki, Seiichi Okuma, Kazuo Oshita, Yumi Shigematsu, Toshio Shimizu, Satsu Sugiyama, Masaichi Takahashi, Jimmy Wakayama, Richard Albert Dangers, Annette Juan, Chiyoko Miyano, Amy Tsurumoto, Namiko Takao, Kisaburo Tsujihara, Umataro Wakayama, Hatsuyo Yamasaki, Chika Matsumoto, George Mukaida, Maxine Abe, Chikako Allen, Sumie Kobayashi, Ayami Taniguchi, Mary Tomiko Miyazaki, Mary Satsuyo Yamakawa, Alice Nobuko Takao, Terumi Moriki, Ralph Hoyo, Norma Sugiyama, Bonsur Lim, Rose Fuji. Fujimoto Sensei will now offer Sambujo, page 24, a dedication and the sutra chanting of Amida Kyo on page 103, the first half of the Purple Book.
Nyo Today, on this occasion of the Shotsuki service for the month of June, members of our temple families have reverently come before Amida Buddha in memory of their beloved. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we reaffirm the three homages, Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Please repeat the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Shiki choro shari ho makamo kenden makakasho maka か千年かくちらみはたしゅりあんだがなんだあなんだだごらきょぼなだいみんずるはらだかるだいまかこひなくらあぬるだにょぜと初代弟子病床菩薩まかさもんじゅしりおじやいった菩薩けんだか大菩薩上昇神菩薩よにょぜと初代菩薩牛作大観陰と無料商店大祝二次文語小老舎利法十世裁法果十万億分度無世界上万極楽合道無分語阿弥陀根源在説法舎利法非道過去名義極楽語国衆上無宿三十小楽光明極楽無舎利法極楽国道七十何十七十羅網七十五十大勢四方宗祖異名税公非国名万極楽無舎利法極楽国道七宝地悪徳水十万五中地大順に根社富士四辺街道金言瑠璃ありご上上老格薬医金言瑠璃あり社交宿主名の理言直視非中連芸大名舎利小式小公大式陽公釈式釈公白式白公微妙公血舎利法極楽国道長寿行税空毒将軍仏舎利法非部国道調査天学黄金日昼夜六時にマンダラ敬語国修上上位小短各位英国宗名系供養他法十万億分即位直事東本国本直行行舎利法極楽国道長寿行税空毒将軍仏師舎利法非国上集中奇妙雑式市長百国着オム舎利過料賓が愚名市長税所州長長夜六時水和下音五音年長五根合力七母大分小道分行税東方合同修上門税音に開実年分年法年相舎利法上 ついし長実世祭法少々小医者が異部国土無三幕州仮法五部国土小無三幕土子名家教人聖書宗長大勢阿弥陀仏力量温泉流演芸少佐シャリホヒブ国土岐阜水道小法五十九法ラモ水味妙二如百戦中学同時空差音税音社開示年上念仏年法年相死心シャリホ五部国土上十如税功徳将軍ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくどく平等性祭道本菩提一心往生安楽ナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダ
The Dharma message for today will now be delivered by Reverend Fujimoto.
Good afternoon, everyone. I almost said good morning too. Yeah. I'm going to mention a couple of things on the Amida Kyo. You know, we've been doing half to accommodate our time, and when I hit the settaku, if there's a tsu, like shari hotsu, then I abbreviate. So shari ho or hoten. So if you do the second syllable, then you get caught up behind. So just know that there are at each break, if there's a tsu, then it gets abbreviated. So shari hotsu is, or sometimes it's a amida butsu, and it becomes buten and kind of shortened to one syllable instead of two. So sometimes that makes people get lost and harder to keep up. So I just wanted to show that to you, and you could listen in next time and you get accustomed to that, okay? So that might make it easier for you. Then gradually we can go twice as fast. Okay. Okay, thank you. Today I wanted to talk about our service books a little bit, and thinking back to my days at IBS as a student, you know, before becoming a minister, we would have IBS chanting classes, and Reverend Kusada would lead us. And so when we would come to a new chant, like the Ojo Rai-san or something that we don't normally do, he would write down on the chalkboard every single kanji and the romanized pronunciation of each kanji. Sometimes there's a couple romanized syllables that he would share with us. And so we would write. We would each have a book. It's kind of like this kind of size. So a smaller version, maybe 3.5 by 5 inches, probably twice as wide as this. But this would be our chanting book that we brought to class every time. And in the book, we would open it and he would be writing down every kanji and we would be writing down the romanization so we could pronounce as we would learn this chant. And not only the romanized, he would give us the proper pitch and the intonation, and we would draw these lines that ooh, and little marks to remind us of how the chant is supposed to go. And so this is such a important, everything was in these books. Don't ever lose these books, so we would all make sure we would have our books, and maybe you would have to miss a class sometimes and borrow another student's class and to fill in all the romanizations that you might have missed on the previous class. So these became very, very important. So over the years, you have probably seen we've had a number of different sutra books at our temples, and the Japanese versions might look like this one that we see, sometimes the smaller ones. I'm not sure where this white version is from, and we all have the purple ones that we use today, right? And I brought my own today because it stays open at the proper Amida Kyo page. So last month I was like, oh no, it wouldn't come to the right page. So this time I brought my own. And another one of the books that we've had is this red one. You might recall this version, the Shinshu Seiten, another service book. And I don't know what was up with that when they asked for these kinds of covers. It kind of looks like a Bible, doesn't it? Right? So a little bit of a funny thing there. Let me stack these out of the way. So last week was our Memorial Day cemetery visitations, and the Saturday before I came over here to the Enmanji area, we started our cemetery visitations at the Chapel of the Chimes in Oakland, and we reserve one of their chapels, and maybe 20 people come, and we have service, and then after the service, people go up to their family niches, place some flowers, and we got show, and we kind of went as a group. So after the service, I packed up all my service belongings and put them into a bag, and I was wondering if I should take the bag to my car across the street or could I leave it somewhere safe. And one of our members, Eddie, was not going to go up. He has a little bit hard time breathing now, so he was going to sit down and wait. So I said, just leave it with Eddie. He could watch it. So I put the bag next to Eddie, and he's in his chair to wait there for, probably going to take an hour. So I told him, guard it with your life. And some of the people kind of giggled and smiling, that I would give such a direction. But I would recall that, whenever, as a minister, when you're placed at a different temple, and even when I came here for the first time, looking at the Onaijin and seeing what's up on the altar, and, often there's the central figure, a statue of Amida Buddha, and you would be kind of planning to, if there were a fire, grab the statue of Amida and cover it and place it somewhere safe, and then go in again for other things that you think would be of value that we want to save from the temple. And so when you are placed at a temple, that's the first thing I do. I look and see where the valuable things are placed and what I should be able to save. And so every minister does this, or they should. I think they should. Okay. And so thinking of all these things, I was recalling this story of Ryoken-san, and he was a disciple of Rennyo Shonin. Okay, so when we look at our altar, on this side we have Shinran Shonin, and on the other sub-altar is Rennyo Shonin. So the founder of our school of Buddhism and the 8th descendant, Rennyo Shonin, who came years later after Shinran Shonin. And so this is a story about one of his disciples, Ryoken-san. So you would know that Rennyo wrote a number of letters, and one of the letters we read, the Gobonsho letters, the white ashes that we read during our our funeral services. Right? So he wrote a number of letters, and many of these were compiled and put together a collection. Okay. So during his time, it was in 1471 that he was at his temple in his study and writing one such letter. And so he was in his study and noticed there was a fire, and you could imagine maybe like this, a wooden building and the Japanese temples, tatami mats, and probably very quick to be able to catch on fire and burn. Okay, so the fire is coming quickly, so he had to escape, and he got out of there quickly, and once he was in safety, he had a copy of Shinran Shonin's Kyogyo Shinsho, okay, an original copy that Shinran had written by hand, and similar to our classroom that I was describing, writing all the notes in the spaces, in the margins. Shinran Shonin would do the same in his Kyogyo Shinsho, and he would write his own notes to himself, writing down in his book notes that would remind him and things to look at further and such very important book writings. So Rennyo was using this book to further his own study and to reflect upon what Shinran had shared in his teachings. So this very important book he had left there in the fire. So his disciple, Ryoken-san, so I'll go back. I'll get the Kyogyo Shinsho. So he raced into this burning temple, and he went into Rennyo's study, and he located this Kyogyo Shinsho treasure. Okay, but the fire was coming so quickly, any of the entrances were no longer available. He was trapped. So he looked around, there's nothing he could do. So he decided to kill himself, to commit harakiri, right? Where you disembowel yourself with a short knife and you basically cut your own intestines out of your body. And so he did this to himself, to kill himself, and he placed this Kyogyo Shinsho text into the space of his stomach area. And so after the fire, they found Ryoken-san, and he had died, but they uncovered the Kyogyo Shinsho, and it was safe and stained in blood. And so it was kind of a red stain, and this is the story that because of this, that many of our service books were colored in red, probably similar to this, and remembering the story of Ryoken-san saving this very important work. So, it is said that during Rennyo's time, he had so many followers that he had invigorated the Honganji and the Nembutsu teachings, and maybe 500,000 people were members of our Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, and at the time that was probably half the population of Japan. Okay, so he had done a tremendous thing. And so when you think about it, when the first pioneers came to America, often you hear these conversations, where's your family from? He's from Wakayama, Hiroshima, different areas of Japan. So, Jodo Shinshu area. And so these areas were so prominent in Shin Buddhism. And this is because of Rennyo Shonin making Jodo Shinchu, the Nembutsu teaching, so popular at that time. And these were our family temples, right? And so to think, we have these connections going back, some of us maybe family connections to 15, even 20 generations of family in Japan. After 4 generations, it's just a blur and we don't really know. But we do have these connections. Others might be newer to Jodo Shinchu Buddhism, but to come to this temple and to connect to this legacy, this tradition, lineage, this all becomes very, very important. And so we should remind ourselves of the value and the importance of the Dharma and the Nembutsu teachings. And this has become a core, kind of a foundation of our own lives, right? And so hopefully we're able to remind ourselves to share this with our children and encourage them to come. And when we come, particularly to the Shotsuki service, when we are remembering our own families and the people we have lost in our families, in our lives, we remind ourselves not only of them, but of our connections going back to generations, and centuries. So it's important to hold something of meaning and value and to carry it forward. And how do we do that? We share that with our families, even to share at a dinner. We went to the Shotsuki service, we went to the temple, we had a service again, and it's nice to be able to offer incense for remembering who and who and who, right? And so we make our connections, but not only to do this for ourselves and our own peace of mind, but to share this with those close to us, and we recall and we plant these seeds into them who are listening to how we share these stories and what we do with our lives. So all of these are very, very important. So I hope you were able to appreciate this effort of Ryoken-san, the story of our service books. So please join me in Gassho. We'll close this Dharma message. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, namanda, namanda. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sensei. That was a very thoughtful and kind reminder for all of us, which I hope that we will take back with us as we leave the temple today. Would we please all rise for the Gatha, Ondoku-san 2 on page 220. I know you're wearing your masks, but please give it a joyful effort on Ondoku-san.
Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Namo.
Namanda, namanda.
This will conclude today's June Sochiki-Hoyo service. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone who is here in person in the temple to hear the real Dharma message from a real sensei. And we hope we can continue this more frequently. also coming together. And in addition, there have been so many people who have come together to make this a safe gathering for all of us. And just to name a few would be, I would say, first off, I'd like to say thank you and appreciation to Lauren Miyazaki. He has led all of the efforts by so many people to make this a service that we are all very comfortable and feel very safe in gathering once again to be together in our temple. In addition, thank you to George Thow for ringing the Kansho this morning, and to Dr. Kent for being our organist, and of course the videotaping and editing by Kevin Imamura, who has come a tremendously long way on the technology of having it streamed, if that's the proper word, and in virtual reality during the past couple of years. Thank you, and he continues to improve on that technology so we can all come together, and also today's service will be able to be viewed, Kevin says, in the next couple of days. The thank you also is to be Diane and Juliene's Toban group for the attention to the Onaijin today, for the obupan and the flowers and offerings. I believe there will be a short or a brief social gathering out in the concourse there, so please, whoever can stay to join and reacquaint, please do so after the service. And anyone who has not Oshoko and would care to do so is welcome to after the service. Thank you again, and we hope to see each other once again real soon. Please stay well.